Just over a year ago, I was introduced to this very special lady that's before you through a mutual colleague. And Einav Avni, we got together for a tea and chat, which is what enticed me to her in the first place, was the opportunity to have tea on an online platform. And I just couldn't resist. So this one chat led us down an amazing road of discovery as two colleagues who have a passion for helping people with wellness discovered the ways that they could work together. And we've ended up with collaborations, different events, and it's just been such a glory. So Einav, thank you so much for coming to the show today and being a part of the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I am really excited to be here with you. Thank you.
Let's begin with a little bit of background about Einav so you can realize the potential of this amazing woman and her Untangled Healing Program. So this is what she has chosen to offer to people, which I just think is so bold and courageous. If you suffer from chronic pain, illness, or unexplained medical conditions, then Einav is ready for you. Her healing methods have helped those whose doctors told them they'd never get better, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And as an alignment coach and an emotion, body, and belief codes energy healer, she provides an insight into the background of illness and how it can manifest as illness inside the body. She has two ways of looking at things. One is the physical way, which is the show of pain and physical suffering. And the other is the energetic way, where we experience our fears, limiting beliefs, frustrations, and compromises. By acknowledging the emotions, blockages can be released and harmonized to help regain vitality and health. So today we're going to explore Einav's recent summit, The Art of Healing Cancer. So first of all, the title is even bold. But then also what unfolded in this summit was absolutely spectacular. Einav interviewed over 40 different specialists in the fields and discovered a wealth of information for looking at cancer and the process of healing. So I was thrilled to be a part of the summit, and I'm looking forward to discussing, because Einav was there for all the interviews, so she was present for the transformation that occurred overall for the summit. And I'm excited for that conversation today. All right, Einav, shall we get started?
Let's get started. I'm excited about this. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, to begin, we need a cup of tea so we know where we're heading and set up our audience for a healing session while they're listening. What have you decided to have in your teacup today?
Right. So I didn't get a chance to get tea today, but I've got some water with me, which I'm very excited about, considering it's a change. It feels like changing of seasons, so just keeping hydrated.
Yes, and I was actually posting today a little bit about Dr. Emoto's work with water and infusing water with intention and the power of that healing in itself. Yeah, exactly. So if you're sitting there listening to the podcast and you've got your cup of water or your water bottle sitting beside you, perhaps you want to infuse it with a little extra power. You can do that by writing a little message on the side of the bottle. You can put it underneath. So I have my Harmony Blends coasters that I actually choose the intentions and then I sit everything on top of, and it infuses for me. So it's a wonderful way to empower a simple task. So thank you for that. And I brought today Lucky Dragon. One, I was thinking about what kind of blend holds the power of what you were able to bring together for the summit and all these incredible speakers with their backgrounds, knowledge, and successes. And that's a big feat for a cup of tea. So I chose Lucky Dragon, and the affirmation that's on it is create a clear vision for outcome, then let go of your expectations. The journey is the reward. Now, from a cancer-based perspective, setting a clear vision, sometimes it's the obvious one, please heal me. I just want to be healed. I want to feel better. But the other one is let go of your expectations. And that can be really difficult for those people who have a chronic condition because they just want to feel better. But letting go of outcome, I think, is one of the, it's going to be maybe not the right word, but juiciest part of the whole experience is figuring out how you let go. And I know you can talk more about that. so I'm just going to bring it together with the tea. And I wanted to draw attention to two things. So one is green tea is something that they do recommend for cancer patients, not to take right with any of the drugs that you're doing, but as something that you can sip on the side. And it's singing about the praises of the antioxidants in the green tea. There's lots of mixed research on it, so I'm just going to suggest from there the high antioxidant quality of green tea. And then the other part is in this blend are grape leaves. And grape leaves are for supporting rebirth, prosperity, and well being. So if you were to let go and take the journey, perhaps by letting go into what grape leaves can support, that might be a way to say, I'm just going to hand it to the grape leaves and let them bring it forward. And grape leaves just add such a nice quality to the tea. So with your water, Einav, the power of intention. Cheers, and thank you for coming to join me on the podcast today.
Thank you, and cheers.
Okay. All right. Let's dive in. As you began the idea towards the summit, what was it that drew you to the idea of, well, one, doing a summit, but two, also involving cancer? You could have chosen chronic conditions
I could
and
have.
been, equally impactful with all of the things that people are looking for. But you went higher than that. You said, I'm going to go for cancer. I'm going to really look at what's happening. Do you want to explain that inspiration that got you on this road?
Thank you. Absolutely. It is for me. It's quite interesting because when I talk about chronic conditions, I am quite confident in my message based on really all of the work that I've done with different people. That basically, when you understand the message behind your condition, the condition basically drops away. Sometimes faster, sometimes later, but that is the process that I've experienced with my clients. People you read in the introduction, really, they come to me after the doctor said, right, this is, we don't know how to cure this. There is no, there's nothing that we know how to deal with. And yet when they come to me and we have the conversations and we have the energy healing, all of a sudden the symptoms fall by the wayside. And it's like, how is that possible? So I noticed that when I speak about the chronic conditions, I am very confident, and I know that this is, it's basically evidence-based statements. But I realized that when I speak about cancer, I was very nervous. And cancer had this kind of bubble around it of don't say anything. Basically, don't commit to anything. Don't say that, that people can heal. Don't suggest that healing is possible. And so it was kind of on a two parts for me, because first of all, there was that fear of, can I say anything about this really? And the second thing was that I realized that when I was talking about cancer, I was also having my own limitations, really, because also I lost my older brother to cancer a few years ago, and kind of having this experience in my conscious awareness. So it was my fears because of his, you know, the end results, if I can say that, and also everything that we know about the pharmaceuticals, and that people are so focused on that end result that I really felt very nervous about touching this. And then I asked myself, I really asked, I said, how come I'm so nervous about it when I mean, cancer is another form of chronic condition. So why is this separation? Why is it that if someone comes to me with psoriasis, I can say, yeah, you know, let's talk. But when someone says, oh, I've got cancer, I'm like, oh, I was responding or reacting, I should say, differently. So this is kind of what was on my mind when I kind of had the message or the push from somewhere to say you need to put a summit together and it needs to be about cancer. And so it was interesting for me what would come out of it. How would I feel about cancer and healing, at the end of it? And also because the summit name ended up being the art of healing cancer. because of one of the conversations I had with one of the participants. Um, but um, but this claim to say that you can heal naturally, and then everything that that brought with it, because of course there's so many emotions that come up for people when we talk about cancer, and especially when we talk about healing naturally. So yeah, all of that was kind of ended up as being okay. We have to see where it leads us, kind of kind of movement.
So now I'm going to jump forward because probably I would ask you at the end of this conversation what your oversights were, but I'm going to ask you now, how do you feel inside for you about now working with people with cancer?
Exactly. I mean, that is the absolute right question, because I understood, and I must say that I don't have cancer. I've never been, through this cancer healing journey. So I do understand that some people might maybe they get triggered, maybe they have their own experience. So I want to say that definitely I'm coming from a point of view of respect to everyone, and there is no right or wrong way of doing of dealing with cancer, because every person has their own path and their own journey. So I'm very mindful of that. Um, but what I understood is that, you know, from really having so many different conversations with people that, decided to go with chemo, and people that decided to go other ways, a lot of people really said that the cancer has taught them something that they would not have had a chance to learn without it. And and then I understood that for most people, I mean, some people will say, okay, no, it's cancer, and this is the end, exactly like was my kind of fears and mindset at the beginning. But so many other people looked at it and said, how am I going to move forward? What is something that I can actually do, that maybe I didn't know about before? And so the people that took the time to do the exploration and really lean into the various possibilities, they are the ones that are really getting all the benefits, I should say, from the cancer journey. And for me personally, I understood that with the people that I work with, the chronic conditions, a lot of the time there is a kind of a nice to have attitude. But with the cancer people, cancer patients that I've had and spoke with, there is a thirst that I was missing with the people with chronic conditions. All of a sudden, everything that was on the table, everything that we discussed, everything that we really brought into the conscious awareness made a difference, and for me it was like, yes, this is what I'm meant to be doing. These are people that I'm meant to be speaking with, because this is what they're here to do, right? They're here to really understand how come the cancer is in the bodies right now. Now, of course, I know we all have cancerous cells and all of that, but how come the cancer is now moving into an active phase? So, so all of a sudden, for me, I understood that the cancer is a journey, and it's not really about that possibility of dying at the end of it. I mean, we all have to die at some point, but the people who say, actually, I'm going to learn from this, they're the ones that really they you know they find a way to enrich their lives, and really come to places that they couldn't have done before that.
Mhm.
So don't know if I answered the question, but I am in awe of all the people, going through cancer healing that I've spoken with. It's really, really in awe of the courage and the open-mindedness.
Interesting. And so you talked about, I just want to clarify that bit. You talked about the mindset that chronic condition people have over the cancer people. Can you just say that again?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the time, people with chronic conditions would come to me and they would say, I really want to heal, but they wouldn't be necessarily willing to do the work. So it's not really that they're not willing to do the work so much as they're not willing to give up a part of them that is the victim. And I know I'm generalizing, so really, again, apologize for triggering anyone that is thinking, I really want to, but actually that's a part of it, because me as the the coach and the energy healer, I can see things that they can't, and I need them to say, I want to heal. I want to go on this healing journey, and please guide me. Please help me to get there. And I can do that because I have done that so successfully with so many other people. But some people will say that and yet won't be willing to do certain things, like really acknowledging where they still follow believing that they're a victim and this was done to them, and they will not be willing to explore really the messages, like we said at the beginning, that brought this chronic condition together. Now, when I talk about a message, I really believe that the chronic condition that we go through, that we have, is really when the body is saying, look, you've been doing all of this for too long. Maybe it's chronic stress. Maybe it's just you've moved so far away from where you're supposed to go, in your soul path and soul plan and all of that, that unless I do something, you're going to have to come back here again and start from scratch, kind of thing. So really the body is saying, I need you to pause and reflect, and let's figure this out together. And when this reflection is done, when you understood the message, when you understood the learnings, then you can get your health back. Because until now, of course, I was trying to give you all these different messages, but you didn't want to listen to. And now I say, right, as a last resort, let's look at things really deeply, and let's really understand what is going on. So what I found is that a lot of the time, the people with chronic conditions, they wouldn't want to go all the way into understanding the messages and see also in what way did they contribute to the condition. A lot of the people really do believe that the body is physical, and so the only way to fix them is, with hospitals and tablets and surgeries and stuff like that. So when the doctors come where actually there's nothing that we can do, they're really lost. So some of them slowly start to accept, they understand the, okay, energy healing, maybe there's other ways, but they haven't bought into that, and that is a challenge. And of course, these people, even sometimes they get reduction in symptoms and feel a little bit better, they don't get the healing that they want. And I was just reading, actually listening to this book by Alberto Villaldo. He has a book there called Grow a New Body. It's a 7 days program. It's a fabulous book. And there he gives the definition between what is the difference between curing and healing. And he says curing is really looking after the symptoms, eliminating the symptoms, but healing is really finding the way to bring in a healthy lifestyle. So this is not just looking at the symptoms and getting them to go away. It's exactly what I'm saying. Basically, let's understand what went wrong, and then basically, but there's commitment, right? That people need to have. If it's about I don't know, I'm going to use nutrition because it's one of my downfall. If someone said to me, right, you have to change your eating, I wouldn't necessarily want to do it straight away. But in the healing journey, this is a part of it. So we don't have to go 100% right into, changing your diet completely or your nutrition, but it's about leading into it, getting yourself one step at a time. So this is something that you can do more comfortably with a guide rather than, on your own. So with people with chronic conditions, I noticed that a lot of the time, especially people that say that they have TMS, which is the mind body syndrome, this is a whole different kettle of fish, really, of people that say that they really want to heal. They understand it's all emotion based, but they're really not willing to let go of that, and that is, yes, that is very interesting. But so what I noticed is that people with cancer, they are willing to go all the way. They're like, I've got nothing to lose. I'm going to give it my best shot. I am going to go there. And they go there and they don't leave any stone unturned. They really go and they dig as deep as they need to dig. And they're open to changing different things, to bringing you know, new things to their lives. And like I said before, I am definitely in awe of these people because of how deep they're willing to go, and everything that they're willing to change or try and see how it feels. Yeah, so this is what I meant when I compared people with chronic conditions to people with cancer.
And then the journey is the reward, isn't it?
The journey is really the reward. I was reading, I actually just read the headline of something that says someone, some doctors or researchers, they had a breakthrough in cancer healing, and I was reflecting on this title, thinking, so will if we treat cancer like we treat headaches, for example, what are we missing out on? And this is this whole journey. It's exactly that. So if because also, right, I mean, we treat headaches in this exactly the same way. We take a pill and the headache gone, and we never understood what was the root cause, what brought it on. So if there is a breakthrough in cancer, which of course is wonderful, and I'm not saying it isn't, I was wondering what would that look like for people. What would get them to go through that journey of self-discovery? That's what I was wondering to myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, isn't it? And all of us, we just want to carry on with our lives and do the things we're doing, and then expect changes that are just going to happen. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
I
It's
mean,
really
we had.
interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say that one of the participants in the one of the speakers, he had cancer, and he said, but I healed after 2 weeks. And I wanted to, and then I wanted to know how come I could heal so quickly, where other people, take years and years. And so he started to really, he wrote down, he did a whole research on what he was doing, and now he's using AI to help other people to tailor what it is that they're doing, what it is that is missing in the body to help them heal as quickly as he did in some
Yeah.
variations. But
Wow.
this is like mind blowing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One of
So
the things, because my daughter had cancer, and her treatments, with my ability to muscle monitor, I could monitor where we were at with each of the treatments, and the protocol was for 4 extensive sessions with chemo, and then follow up with radiation. And by the time we got to the second set, it was gone according to my biofeedback.
mm,
Um, but you had to endure the protocol because that was the way the protocol was set up, and that's what they were understanding with medicine. Um, but it was an interesting journey because by the time we got towards the end, the fourth time, even the doctors had realized that it was time to stop and there was no need to go further with it, which was interesting. So that opportunity of just exactly what he's looking at is how quickly could it flip itself? It may not, but it could. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
this is all really interesting, again, because from everything, most of the conversation I was having, people are kind of saying, but the medical team, they're the ones that were so fixed, and it was their idea or no idea. And until you basically say, well, I had to fire them, or I had to say to them, you can continue, but I'm going somewhere else. It was really interesting to realize that people at some point they needed the medical team to be more flexible. Um, and then there was one of the women, one of the speakers, that's what she was proposing, right? Like a team that would be, yeah, the medical team, the oncologists, but actually also integrated, nurses or practitioners that will help you to look at the person from 360 degrees, that everything. And if chemo is the right first step, fine. But maybe there's also some, alternative practices that you can bring at the same time. And so, how can we look at the whole thing from an open-minded point of view, and not just, right, we're doing just chemo, we're just doing radiotherapy, or it's yes, it's part of my end result of where I am now after all of the listening to all of the speakers of yeah, where I am now with my opinions and beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you too, when you started the summit, you were only going to do a certain number of interviews, and it continued to multiply. And I know it became much larger than you thought it was going to be. Do you want to share a little bit about that discovery?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I really I started it by thinking I will have about 15 speakers, and I didn't know what the speakers, who they're going to be or what they're going to say. Also, I must say that I'm not so, fluent in cancer terms and speaking. And so I remember one of the first people that came that said yes to being a speaker is Morley Robbins, who is the founder of the root cause protocol, and his understanding is all about the deficiency of copper and zinc in our diets, and he based everything about that. Nearly every chronic condition and cancer, he says, can be reversed with this understanding because it's not a disease; it's a deficiency. So we had a fascinating conversation with me, really, like I said, not fluent at all in all of these minerals and biology speaking. But I thought this is very important because people who are just starting on the cancer journey, or actually even people who've been there for a while, they would have potentially the same kind of understanding as I had at that time. So yeah, so this is just an example of someone that said yes very quickly on, and I was really encouraged by that because people really, they just, like I said, multiplied. They just came out of nowhere with some really interesting ideas and approaches to cancer, to healing. But not only cancer and healing, it's also about if it was about, for example, understanding the emotional or the emotions behind cancer. So there was one woman looking at the inner child, another woman that was looking at the subliminal messages of how we're speaking to ourselves, and it was really interesting to see that actually all of these people, maybe when you put them together, you could really see why they all ended up together in this one summit, because everyone had a kind of a unique approach or unique idea that even if they spoke about some elements that were repeated in itself, it was like mind blowing. And if we're talking about messages, so we're looking again at this woman with the inner child conversation. So this is, how come, how come she was part of it is because we really want to go, we really want to leave no stone unturned. We really want to go into all of the things that will help us understand this message of how come this cancer is here right now. So it was really interesting in all of these conversations I had with people beforehand, saying, actually, you know, we're not making promises. We're not saying that, come to me and I can heal everyone and everything. We never do that. We're also not telling people go this route or another. We're just here to support, empower, inspire people to say, hey, this is my experience. This is what I'm proposing, come and have a conversation, or just listen to the conversation and take from it what you want. But it was really special to have such a wide lineup of people, all on the same mindset, all really, really wanting to bring this message that yes, we can do things differently to the way that they are today.
Hmm. Wow. What would you say was probably your greatest discovery across all the interviews?
I think the one thing, which is basically how I look at cancer at the moment, is really that there is there is something that is causing the cancer. And before you can go and say, okay, I want to, for example, go with chemo, it is actually quite interesting to say, I want to understand what is this cause? What is the root cause of cancer? My cancer? What is it? And in some cases it's yes, deficiency, maybe zinc, maybe copper. In other cases maybe it's so many parasites or toxins in the body. In other places it's some sort of an emotional trauma that happened early on in life that we haven't been able to process or acknowledge. There's so many different things. So if you say, okay, I've got cancer and here's the one solution, you're really missing out on understanding and going really deeper into the root cause. So for me, it became really interesting to understand that there were so many different things that could contribute to it. And of course, sometimes it was a few of them together, right? But um, really, the point is that regardless of the path people chose to eliminate the cancer, um, this understanding of what was the root cause was very interesting because they could use that to heal faster and or to see better results or to um, yeah, to just have the whole journey look very differently. So for me, that was really, really fascinating.
I'm thinking about too when people know they're not feeling well and they set up their appointment to see the doctor. And then the doctor's going to send them for tests and specialists, and there's a waiting list.
Mm.
And that waiting list can be grueling as you're worried about all the possible outcomes. So what I'm hearing in what you're saying is if from that very first inkling people actually took the time and said, I'm going to go discover my root cause. And I'm going to do that in the means by which, like with what you have in the summit, by educating yourself on the possibilities and then knowing where you want to head. So that was one piece of what I presented was knowing what that priority piece is you're looking at, using biofeedback from the body and asking what does it need or where does it need to go. So having that tool to start, and then yes, you get to that appointment. The appointment could be very different because if you did heal it quickly in a couple of weeks and your appointment took 4 to 6 weeks or 2, 3 months, you could have reversed a lot. You might have a little bit left. You might not have anything there. It might be completely different in what it's going to present based on the time you've spent. So, as people are listening to the podcast and thinking, because this is one of the things as a mom, and also knowing that I was in the wellness industry, that I was going to need to have that repertoire ready, was I never wanted to be without answers. So that the next person who said to me, I have cancer, I don't know what to do, I would be able to say, here's how I could help you, and here's what I could suggest. So that became kind of my mission with my daughter, and also the opportunity to be able to talk between the medical model and alternative or complementary.
Mm.
And so, as people are listening, the opportunity to listen to these interviews and understand where we are right now with all that is possible to heal cancer and to heal whatever the culprit of cancer is, now's a good time to arm yourself while you have no stresses. And then you can put that information in your back pocket. You might actually make lifestyle changes that totally prevent you even having to go down that road. Um, but it's that idea of going back to its root cause and not waiting until all the assessments are done.
But I'll tell you the interesting thing, actually, I think really surprising is I think about three or four people that I interviewed, they told me that they found the cancer by complete chance. They had no symptoms, they had no pain, discomfort, nothing at all. But just because of something that happened, they ended up in the hospital or seeing a doctor, and then they were given this news, and in I think some of these cases, at least, it was quite advanced, the cancer. But I totally agree. I had one woman, and she was told that she had lung cancer, and she said when she got the news, because they saw this the cancer in the X-ray, she said she understood it was really because there was so much stress. She was practically, she can't even remember the last time she took a deep breath. And she decided to go to the Sahara, and she spent there 3 weeks, 3 weeks where she was meditating every day, and she was, doing positive affirmations, and she really took the time to look after herself. And all of a sudden, really, nothing from the old life mattered because now there was this mission, there was this curiosity. And really, after 3 weeks, when she came back to her doctor in Sweden, I said, it's it's reduced so drastically. Absolutely continue doing what you were doing. And you see, this is exactly what we're talking about when we understand about messages, that actually you can't bring this change by choosing to listen and to be curious with how come this is here right now. And that's why we're saying, because this woman, she hadn't gone back to her old life, not at all. She now had a new zest, a new interest, a new everything. And now, she does a lot of retreats in the Sahara, and helping people to take this deep breath and find themselves. So
Wow. And then how uplifting is that?
exactly.
To flip it around that way. Amazing. Yeah. And then that is where it's that journey of, have you been going down that right path? Is there something that calls you in that would feed your soul just a little bit more? Um,
But
yeah.
there's so much fear, in our lives, cancer or no cancer. There is so much fear, and you listen to people, and they really believe that they have no choice, and they're thinking, there's so many bills to pay. I have to continue with the work that I do, even if it stresses the life out of me. Really, there's
Yeah.
not. I really, I always say that I believe that we're not here to struggle. We're here to fulfill, a life journey, life learning. But if we are struggling, if we are in resistance. What is the resistance? What is it that we are not willing to look at?
Mhm.
And I was talking with one guy, and he now has cancer the third time, and of course he's very worried. And I said to him, I don't believe that cancer is here to kill you. I really believe that it's here to give you a message that you haven't been able to get until now. He's a wonderful guy. So he was like, okay, I'm ready to listen. And now we're looking at how, um, where was he operating really just from his mind, and how to finally now starting to listen to his heart. And it's a very interesting journey, because a lot of the time people, of course, don't even recognize that they're just mind-based. And when you say, heart-based, they look at you like you're just falling out of the stars, right?
Oh, it's wow. Okay. So you have these beautiful recordings. You have an amazing package put together. What's the plan for the longevity and the impact of this summit?
The summit is available, to purchase at the moment. It's on my website, um, and people can come and buy now, watch whenever. That's really is very important to mention, because people kept saying, "Oh, I don't have time to watch it. I don't have time to watch it." But really, when you purchase the summit, you have as much time as you want, because there's no rush. Um, but the plan is really, it doesn't matter what stage of the cancer journey you are at, or even if it's your cancer, or if it's you're a caregiver, or even if you're just curious about alternative healing. The idea is that the plan is for people to come in, look at all the speakers and what is available, and then choose for themselves according to, like you said, muscle monitoring, or just checking where the energy is. What do they want to see first? And just go there. The guy that I was mentioning earlier, he's watching one interview a day. That's what he does, and it's wonderful, because all of these speakers together, they're very, very inspiring. And there is in every conversation something for you to take away. And whether you want to listen like one conversation a day or once a month, it really is, there is no wrong answer, basically.
Mhm.
So the plan is for people to come in, take choose what feels right for them, and then act or no act, and move on to the next one as they feel right. But yeah, I it was really interesting for me to, people were asking me, like, how successful is the summit? And I'm like, even before the ticket office was open, before people could purchase it, I was like, it is already successful. because already with these between us 45 speakers, we already created so much energy around that energy of healing, energy of allowance, energy of flow, and people were sharing with their friends and families, and even like I say, for people were able to purchase the summit, the energy shift was already incredible, so already successful. But I believe that more people are meant to hear about the summit and listen to all the speakers, because I don't know, maybe it has been done before, but I don't believe so. I think that because there's so many people that are talking about so many unique approaches, and when it comes together, it's the whole pie. It's not just one slice at a time, and there is wisdom in from all of the speakers, and um, what is the word I'm looking for? There is a seed in every conversation. In some conversations, the seeds are, already a little bit more grown, maybe with some of the conversations about nutrition, for example, maybe already kind of more understandable. But in other ones, it's just okay. I'll just take all of this information and I'll use it when I need to. And and really, at the end of it, I believe that everyone watching the summit will get to the transformation that I had in my own mindset, to understanding that cancer is more than just the cancer is more than just what we were led to believe. Because it's not just, hey, I got cancer, let me do some chemo, and maybe I'll heal, or maybe I won't. But even if I heal, I'll be waiting for it to return. Actually, this what my understanding now is that the cancer is a journey that you choose how to approach. But if you allow for the messages and for the exploration to come through, you will, at the end, people always said, it's my biggest gift that I received. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's the plan.
Hmm. Yeah. And so there's two parts too that I'm hearing, and there's that first part of the journey, and I think that's the one that for me in the last 15 years, conversation with the medical model has really changed because they are aware of the success of anything complementary. But it's still that dialogue of the personal touch. What is it that you need as an individual that makes it difficult to have your care customized for you because everybody is going to be so different. So the approach of putting that into the hands of the people, it's your job to find out for you what is needed and where you need to go, but then also to engage with it rather than to be nervous of it and to be able to dive in, but then also to be able to continue to support yourself on the journey of healing and to provide the space for the people around you to know how to support as well. Because that's a whole other piece too, because a lot of people, they can empathize with you, but they can't really be on that road with you, and they'll have their opinions. But boy, is it different if you can help share that knowledge and that information and make them feel comfortable with everything so that they can better support you in the end. It's it's a whole
It,
other
it, it
journey too.
it is very interesting, really. I mean, I have a friend, and he said, "Oh, my health is not so good," and immediately I was like, "Oh, cancer." And then I was like, "Actually, uh, bring it on. We're going to have this conversation. Let's talk about it. I have." I can refer him to 44 other people other than myself, of course, that that can help, that have something to say. So it was really interesting. But I think really interesting is that in the range of speakers that I have in the summit, that really there is something for everyone. I mean, like I said, Robert with his use of AI in understanding what is missing so that you can treat cancer. There's Gila who she helps you to. She has something called chemo ecstasy, which is teaching you really how to go through chemo and not have the side effects that are there, because she understands how the nervous system is working, and basically how you can fool it in a way to not experience all of these side effects. So you
Wow.
see, even with these just two people, you can see that there is someone that says, "This is I'm using AI, so we're going off the beaten track." And there's Gila who says, "Actually, you're already doing it. Let's make it better." But there's all people talking about different nutritions and changes, and there's people that um, everyone has something that when I started the putting this summit together, I didn't know, like we said, I didn't know what I was going to find. I didn't know who the people are that are going to come forward. But um but that's why I'm saying, don't some people are well, a little bit nervous about the 45 speakers, and I was saying, actually, don't look at the numbers. It's not about the numbers at all. It's about the wisdom and the exploration that is available here. And really, and many people also gave some sort of a demo, which is also very interesting. One woman, she's doing Akashic record opening, Catherine, and so she gave a demo with one person with cancer, and it's like, now I understand a little bit more. So that was helpful for her to understand the cancer messages. Yes, I am just really excited about this summit because it's so open, it's so wild, it's so approachable for everyone, and really I believe that anyone that is listening to the interviews will come away like I did, understanding that actually there is a something here that you wouldn't have had a chance to explore without this,
Hmm.
which is exciting. I think.
Yeah. And I'm just as you were describing all that, I kept picturing, how people get together to have a pampering weekend and they go out with their buddies to have a good meal together. But wouldn't it be something if a group of people said, we're going to have a watch party and we're going to start with the summit in, you know, whichever one they decide they want to start with, but watch together, because that idea of the caregiver and the family and friends who are there to support, you want to be able to empower people to help in a better way and have compassion in action rather than just empathy. And as I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking, wouldn't that be so powerful then if you did have lunch, but you sat around and talked about what did you learn rather than how was your day? What are you doing? Just that the general stuff, or the conversations that happen with how are you feeling today? What's the weather like? And it's just that passive kind of conversation. But this would be such an empowering way for groups of people, especially if they're people that get together quite a bit, to really dive into a topic that's going to help them, but it's also going to help so many more people around them. And
Mhm.
I'm thinking about as we move out of season 4 with the podcast into season 5, and how the healing potential can be magnified if we turn our healing from just being inside to being globally. And the more
Mhm.
we heal within, the more we can heal on the other side. And that's a conversation too that a lot of people are having, as things are changing around the world, feeling that powerlessness of we can't really do much from where we are, but maybe we can. And by being able to tap into your summit and tap into the knowledge and the camaraderie that you built by bringing those people together, that could really be an empowering piece for groups of people to think about. So we're going to plant
I,
that
I
seed for people.
I totally agree. I definitely agree. I mean, the topic that I chose to speak about was fears, and really, which is kind of my journey with all of this, right? I mean, it was exactly that. When I had cancer, I was in fear. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. It was nice to know you, kind of thing. And like I said, that was my experience because my brother, he only told us about his cancer when the cancer returned. And at that point it was very much, you know oh my God, it was devastating time, um knowing that, of course, knowing that something is going to happen, and not knowing when, and every conversation was so awkward, like, what can you talk about really when you know that the most terrible thing is about to happen? You just don't know when. It was really, really tough. But for me, I wanted to help people understand that the fears are just going to, in a sense, accelerate, you know, this journey because then they're on this trajectory of saying, I've got cancer and that's the end of it, and basically kind of giving up and or giving in. And I want to say, from what I've seen with all of these people that I interviewed, and people, 14 or 15 out of the people have had cancer themselves, and they were all saying actually, it gave me time to explore. It gave me time to go into places that I didn't even know about before. It really yanked me from that old life and into a new one. And if I was going to, in fear, if I was continuing the fear, I wouldn't have the time to go and explore because I would constantly be chasing something that I don't know about yet. But when I took the time, I'm like, okay, so now I'm doing water fast and I'm going to just, sit with that, and I'll do some meditation in between. And all of a sudden, people are sharing how they opened up to the all these different possibilities. And we don't do that in our day-to-day life. I mean, we just, head down, let's keep going as if what is the reward at the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Wow. All right. I want to ask you because I always like to see, as it's a healing journey for those people listening to the podcast and knowing that they've had some energy boost going in, where do you think this project is going to take you next? Now that you've faced the fear of working with cancer and talking about cancer, what do you see on the horizon now?
I believe that my clients will probably be more people with cancer. I really want to be part of that journey of empowerment and helping them see that it doesn't have to be just, it's not about the fear, it's beyond the fear. It's really about finding the messages that the body is giving them and going there. Now, I don't do the nutrition or the toxins part necessarily. I mean, toxins is something that I do work with the body code, but really the things that I do is really about the emotions and the fears and the limiting beliefs and all of that. And I want to show people that if they came on this journey with fear, then fear is the one to leave at the door and come here, really change everything about how they feel about it. So I want to work with people. I want to do more one-on-one and also more group work. I want to also keep on being part of this message, bringing forward, because when you listen to the news and you hear that, one of two men will have cancer and one of three women will have cancer, this is scary. I mean, and if you believe that you get cancer and then you die, then you miss the point. And it feels that this is a global kind of fear. And actually, there is something that we can do about it. We don't have to take it sitting down. We can't say, no, I have cancer. Maybe I can't help that. But there are things that I can do to help do something, right? So either I will end up dying from the cancer or just die of old age. But my life, the quality of my life will be completely different afterwards. I want to be part of that movement that says we're not taking it sitting down.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I just really want to commend you because there'll be so many people who would not have the courage to do what you've done and who would not embrace a topic that has so much wrapped around it.
Mm.
Um, and, and a lot of it really is fear. But you said I've this is a fear I've got and I'm gonna figure out what I can do about it. And I just think that's so remarkable. So thank you for the courage to do what you've done and the determination. And then the openness to let so many people come in and have a conversation with you because you could have easily said, I've got my 15, I'm good. But you didn't. You said, let's keep talking and let's keep talking till we have everything we could possibly turn turn the leaf over on with this. And
Mm.
and shine that guiding light. So that's incredible. I'm thinking about one last piece um, that I'd like the audience to know about is our Aim for Greatness project. So one of the things that came out of you and I meeting each other is that you had this incredible idea to bring some people together to collaborate in healing sessions. And so we work with Ann Smets as well. And the three of us um, provide the opportunity for people to have guidance from three different perspectives and three different ways of looking at shifting the energy and the emotions and the movement. It's my background around how people are feeling and where they want to be. Um, do you want to talk a little bit about what it's meant for us to have those three perspectives and to be able to um, allow people to explore in a different way? Because a lot of times they don't know where to go. So yes, you've presented 45 people who can bring that topic in and they can go, I'd like to go and learn more from this person and more from this person, but how do I know what I need moving forward? So can you want to talk about the collaboration?
Absolutely. Yes. So the idea of this collaboration came again, it's something that I was like, it needs to happen, something, and it was just brewing in my mind until one day I was having a conversation with Anne, and I was like, I know what I need to do. I need to bring people together and collaborate because again, going back to the people with chronic conditions, I understood that sometimes it's not just about me being the practitioner. Sometimes it's more helpful to have other people to look at the same problem from different directions. And I was really keen to do that because I when I walk with someone, I am so there with them. I am, it's their journey, but I I am absolutely there with them. And if I think someone else has better tools that will help to really move them forward, I'm all for it. And I wanted to be able to have this conversation in a way that people will be open to listening to it. So really, the people now coming in, they already know that it's working with the three of us, and I think it's a wonderful and fascinating collaboration, right? Because for you, it's not just about the movement and understanding how the body works in ways that is like, what? Right? And the thing that you are able to figure out about people just from the position of how they hold their bodies, it's like yeah, it's really funny. It's really interesting and fascinating. But also for you, right? It's about understanding not just how do we heal, what is the purpose behind it? What is it that you want to achieve that you haven't been able to and you haven't even acknowledged it for yourself. So the work that you bring is really it's really opening up from a direction that people won't necessarily know, immediately that this is where they want to be or go. But when they have the session, it's like, now I understand. It's like it makes perfect sense, right? And then we have Anne, who, again, it's wizardry, with all over, and the way that she connects with people, and while they're lying down and relaxing somewhere, she's in the background understanding or reading the energy and knowing exactly where the blockage is and what needs to be freed and manipulated so that people start feeling better. And then the conversation that you have with her afterwards, and all of a sudden it's like, I was here, and I was in the UK, she's in Belgium or in Thailand, and how does it even work? But the releases and um, the understanding that people gain after her sessions is always remarkable to hear. And then what I bring, of course, I do the in the coaching part is the alignment coaching. So really understanding where do we move out of alignment, where do we operate from fears and limitations, and where did we forget that we can go into flow and harmony and do things that are truly meant for us. And then in the healing part, it's like I said at the beginning, I use the emotion code, the body code, and the belief code to help free blockages from our energy field. So the people that come to us, I mean, they have all of these to help them move forward. And I think part of the benefit and the greatness of this project is really that we give people what they didn't know that they need, but once they're going through that, it is mind blowing. It is, they get so much from it, and of course, then we also have the monthly meeting, the community meetings, where we do additional healing and clearing and conversations and stuff, and so we create that team that the people have to heal together. I think it's a wonderful collaboration. I'm very grateful for you for being a part of that.
It has, because the other thing for the listeners, just so you can understand, is the three of us also have this opportunity to support each other. So when there's a challenge that comes forward, we're not quite sure how we want to work through it. Our different perspectives lend itself to having a conversation so that we actually grow our skills. It's not just always the way we've always worked because we can look at it now from different perspectives and input and guide in a different way. And so that's been really beneficial. So now, as I'm thinking, about what we've talked about today and the power that is within our hands, if we decide to make the changes now, if we decide to put aside time for our healing journey, and instead of the to-do list and the objectives and the goal setting and all the other things, or the morning routine that's going to be the same every day, if we actually started to really think about how could we learn more about our healing process, and how could we empower ourselves and be making the changes today, because so many people just wait until the last shoe drops and then they go, okay, now I have no choice. I now must move. But why would you want to wait till then? That doesn't make sense. Um,
I
and
think I
that
think
opportunity of a collective group, if you decide you wanted to work with more than one healer, but you wanted to work with several to really build a package. Sorry, you go ahead now.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. About this. Choosing this collaboration is a real gift that people can give themselves because exactly that, because we're coming from different perspectives, and we can bring out more than really just one practitioner. But I was just thinking about when you say about taking, how do we take healing into our own hands, and I was just wanting to say something that because I work with fears so much, I want to say let's just start by finding joy. Let's just start by saying today, even if everything is so bleak and hard and challenging, and of course sometimes we really feel like we are completely spent and there's nothing left for anything. What is one thing that you can actually do today and build on that? Because even if it's spending 5 minutes, I don't know, sitting in the sun or just listening to some, sound of water trickling somewhere, even if it's just that, you are carving some more, space for yourself to build on that. So that's what came out for me when you said about taking powers of our own healing into our own hands.
Exactly. All right. How can people find you?
Easiest way is finding Untangled Healing. I'm everywhere basically. And I would love to have conversations with people. It doesn't really matter if they want to end up working with me only or part of AIM. The conversation, I truly and honestly believe that every person we meet has a piece of our puzzle. And so maybe it's something that I meant to bring to you, or maybe something that you meant to bring to me. I'd love a conversation. So find me on online, Untangled Healing, and let's have a conversation, if you will.
And so your website is untangledhealing.com, and
Yeah.
you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and
Uh,
YouTube, because you have your own
YouTube.
podcast as well.
Yes, healing conversations. That until now was healing conversations for anything chronic, and now it's going back to its birth name of healing conversations. Um, a lot of room for exploration and curiosity. So come and find me.
I love it. I love it. Einav, thank you so much for sharing more about the summit. and where people can go. And I hope as people have listened today, they feel empowered that today they can make a difference. There's no need to wait. Jump in and make it happen for you and bring some friends along. Don't do it by yourself. Actually bring people along with you and start to build a community that's already set up to heal. And then you're not trying to do that when you don't feel well.
Mm, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So thank you
Um,
for listening
thank
today, everyone. Einav, thank you. And we wish you well. Take care.